Good morning, kingdom blessings, everyone. I pray that you're doing well. Thank you for tuning in to Marietta. This is my channel. I appreciate you being here. For all my new subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing. I see you coming in, and all my day ones, y'all know how I feel about y'all. I have a very serious topic that I want to talk about this morning, and it has to deal with our children. You know, our children are going through a lot right now. They're going through a lot. They're seeing a lot. They're hearing a lot. The same way we as grown people are unsure about what our life looks like, the children are picking up on these type of things, and they're unsure about what their future may look like. We may not know what the future holds for our children, but we do know that they have a plan for their own lives as well, and we may not even have talked to them enough to know what that plan is or see where they're headed. And by faith, we have to really move in a way that we have to just accept the not knowing sometimes and wait for them to tell us what their plan is. Of course, we may want them to do certain things, but they also have friends. They also have a mind of their own, and they also will do things out of your, as they say, out of your reach. You may not be able to direct them, put it that way. You may not be able to direct them all the time the way they should go. You're going to have to trust the process within you have taught them to be able to do what's right and make the right choices. Well, I say all that to say this. In the midst of all this going on, our children have started vaping a lot more, vaping a lot longer, vaping. I mean, it's a serious thing that's going on with our teens right now. And a lot of you might say, what is vaping? Let me tell you what vaping is. Now, from my understanding, vaping is an electronic cigarette, or a vape is a device that simulates smoking, make you think that you're smoking a cigarette. Now, what does it do for them? Stimulate their mind, their brain. What does it do for them? Body-wise, now that I do not know. I don't know what this makes them feel like when they do vape, but I do understand that it is bad for your heart and your lungs. It makes you feel like you're smoking. It makes you anxious. It makes you feel like you're, as if you're smoking a cigarette, and making you crave withdrawals. So from my understanding, you'll go through the same cravings, the same withdrawals as if you were smoking a regular cigarette. Now, I know that it raises your blood pressure. Like it acts just like as if you're smoking a regular cigarette, to raise your blood pressure, and it spikes the adrenaline rush through your body, and you begin to crave this thing. You begin to crave it, so you become addicted to vaping, and they begin to vape. Well, I want to let y'all know, the same way they do everything else, vaping is being disguised and being handed to our children in the flavor of bubble gum. It's being handed to them in the flavors of different flavors that kids do like candy. So you got to be careful when your children are out there vaping. You got to really talk to your children about what this thing looks like and what it could do to them when they're out there using this type of thing. Now, they're saying that these e-cigarettes are dangerous for our children to be having. They're very dangerous to their health, damaging their heart and their lungs. So if you don't tell them that this thing is just as dangerous as if they were smoking a regular cigarette, they'll think that vaping is fun. So we're trying to get vaping out of the hands of our children and get something else, like the word of God, into them, so that they will understand what they do with all this nervousness, what did they do with all this anxiety, what do they do with all this stress that they're going through. And the way to do that is to explain to our children, why are we in a panic right now? Why is panic shopping being done right now? Why are the ports being emptied right now? Why are we going into a recession? Explain to them what a recession looks like, what it looks like for their future in this home. What does it look like for the home? How are we going to navigate? How are we going to be able to make it through these trying times? What has to change? What's going to be different? What do our finances look like? The same way you husband and wives, y'all begin to talk and y'all begin to keep these things from the children. Sometimes you keeping these things from the children, especially if they have teenage age, you begin to put more pressure on them for wanting to know. So they begin to do things. If it's not vaping, it could be out there smoking weed. It could be out there drinking more. Substance abuse is a big thing with our teens right now because of the unknown and because of not knowing. A lot of times we think that they don't need to know. We think that this is grown folks' business. Well, in this day and time, it's everybody's business. Everybody in that house that understands anything and everything about what life looks like and what it doesn't look like, because you also got to explain to them who they can call, who they can contact in case y'all get separated, so they won't be anxious and they won't feel the anxiety and the stress of what's going on in the world. Because when children are out here vaping, and they're vaping for attention, they're vaping because they're stress. They're vaping because of the fact that anxiety is taking over them, and they're trying to calm that anxiety within them the same way they smoke weed. They'll smoke weed because of the anxiety in them. So we got to get to a place where we stop lying to our children and be open and more upfront with them and allow them to know exactly what's going on in this house. They live in this house. You'll be surprised how much your child understands when you open up and you begin to be the adult and begin to talk to your children, because you have raised them. You have raised them in a place where you are trying to teach them to be independent. You're trying to teach them to stand on their own 2 feet. You're trying to teach them to be more responsible. Well, we as parents have to be just as responsible and just held accountable for what we allow them to know and give them the knowledge they need to be able to make good decisions. It's hard to make informed decisions with poor information. So you got to be able to give them what they need to be able to make a decision about vaping. Let them know what vaping is. Let them know what vaping can do to them. Let them know how addicted they can get to vaping. Let them know that vaping may destroy their lungs, could cause them to have headaches, could cause them to feel unstable, could cause them to be in a place where they might get to a place where somebody put something in that fog and they may not return from it. It actually can totally cause them to have dysfunctions of the brain. You do not know what people are putting in these substances to this day. You don't know what makes up the vapor in the vaping. Let's just put it that way and call a thing a thing. So we got to be more responsible as adults on how we in this season move with explaining things to our teenage children and to our younger children. If they're old enough to understand, you need to talk to them about a lot of things that could happen or what's happening. Prepare them. Prepare them. And you might say, why should I tell them this? Why should I alarm them? Because you don't even know. You don't even know. You might wake up in the morning and things could be all gone haywire. And then all of a sudden you don't have time to talk to them. And if you're not talking to them right now, then guess who is? The street will talk to them. The street will give them that vape. The street will give them the flavor that they like, whether it's bubble gum, it could be cotton candy, it could be any kind of name. They name it so that it would be more desirable for that child to want to try it. So that child will want to participate, so that child could be lured into those type of activities. We got to be very open-minded in this season. I encourage you, and I'm not no counselor, I'm just a mother of many who has been through some things and have been down this road and who have seen these things happen because of the fact that the children were not informed. They did not know. No, I don't have no PhD in this type of drug counseling or anything. That I'm a mother that has real life experiences of seeing how these things play into children's lives when they are out here moving with the wrong information or not getting the information they need to know that these things can too be dangerous. A lot of kids think that they go to these vaping lounges, they go to these vaping places, and they go just to have fun. They go to be cool. They go because it's the end thing to do. But they don't know what could be lurking behind the wall, what could be lurking in the mist, what could be lurking and preying on them while they're doing these type of things. And if you don't inform them, trust and believe somebody will. Now, here's something I'm going to read to you. This is something that I pulled up off the internet. And it says, electronic cigarettes are just as addictive as traditional ones. I'm going to say that again. Electronic cigarettes are just as addictive as traditional ones. Both e-cigarettes and regular cigarettes contain nicotine, which research suggests may be as addictive as heroin or cocaine. What's worse, says the doctor, many e-cigarette users get even more nicotine than they would from a combustible tobacco product. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? And it says users can buy extra strength cartridges which have a higher concentration of nicotine or increase the e-cigarette's voltage to get a greater hit of the substance. That goes to let you know right there. You don't want your children out here experimenting with this kind of stuff. You don't want your children out here uninformed about what these e-cigarettes and what these vaping can cause them bodily harm when they think they're out there just having fun because their friends do it or because somebody introduced them to it and you have never even told them that these things are lurking out there. Stop hiding things from your children. Stop hiding things from your teenage children because they're either going to learn it from you or they're going to learn it from the street. And if you don't tell them exactly what it is, they're going to end up trying it out in the street. So I encourage you to be open and honest with your children. I encourage you to inform your children in this season about this situation, about what vaping looks like, about how to go about moving in this situation when somebody offers them this type of thing. Let them make their own decisions after you have informed them. You trusted, you have put enough in your teenagers, and especially when they're going off to college, you have put enough in them for them to make the right decisions. And all we can do after that is pray that they make the right decisions and they trust the fact that you are experienced enough and you have enough knowledge, enough wisdom to know that you don't want them to go down that road and you want the best for them. But our children are being targeted. Our children are being targeted. Anytime you change the flavors and you make different flavors in this thing, something that they're going to like, something that tastes good, something that they really want to try. And so all of a sudden now our children are out here vaping more, and they're vaping more every single day. And every single day we got children coming back sick. Some of them we're going to lose. Some of them are going through some things. But vaping, we're talking about vaping. Make sure you talk to your children before they get out there and start using products that they don't know nothing about and start consuming things into their body that they don't know what that is. All they know is they're having fun. All they know is it looks good. All they know is they're blowing smoke. But vaping can be just as serious as taking in a natural cigarette, the same nicotine or even more, because you can buy them, as the article said, you can buy them in higher doses. So be careful when you send your children out them doors and you don't know who they with, you don't know where they're going, you don't know the things that they're learning, but they're out there trying things to be cool. They're out there trying things to fit in. They're out there trying things for attention. Because if you don't give them the attention, if you don't validate them, if you don't speak life into them, if you don't pray for them, if you don't pray over them, if you don't allow them to be who they are and allow them to speak to you, don't be trying to be their friend in this season. Be a parent. Be a parent so that you will be able to give them some knowledge, that they may be able to listen to what you have to say and take the knowledge that you have given them and move accordingly in their own lives. Because they've got to go out there. They got to go out there and they got to experience life. And right now, you know as well as I know, it's dangerous out there. You know as well as I know that the information that they're going to get is not going to be what we got back in the day when we were coming up. Back in the day when we were coming up, we didn't have all this extra foolishness that's going on in the world, so apparent, so in our face, so just put on the table that you do whatever with whoever or however, and everybody tries anything and everything. Because a lot of times we were put in positions where we were more business oriented, where we had to work, where we had to take care of responsibilities. In other words, we had more home responsibilities, and we knew to get in before that street light come on. And we were not introduced to nobody's vaping. I never heard nothing about vaping until I got grown. I didn't hear nothing about this when I was a child. So times have changed. People have changed. The world has changed. So as parents, grandparents, it's time for you to change. It's time for you to change the way you handle things. It's time for you to change the way you think about everything should be hush hush, and what goes on in this house stays in this house. Sometimes you got to put things out there in order for your children to understand exactly who you are, whom they are. So that they'll know that you literally are trying to save their very lives out here in these streets. Because these streets are not happy and not pleasant. These streets, God knows they're not. They're not. I was walking around today, and like I said, I see people all the time. The saddest looks on their face, like the world and already came to the end. It's like more, that's like they're preparing to be unalived than they are preparing to live. So we want our children to live, and so we want our children to be informed. We want our children to understand that this vaping needs to be responsible. They need to be responsible in their vaping. If they're going to vape, they need to know what's in it. They need to know where they got it from. They don't need to be sharing their lips on top of vape pens from other people and all these germs passing back and forth. They don't need to be out there doing all of that. That lets you know right there that they don't know exactly how to even protect themselves from sickness, from all these diseases and all these sicknesses out here, and you passing and slobbering on one vape and passing it back and forth, that is not good. That is not good. The vape alone, if it don't take you out of here, then the germs that you're picking up from lips to lips is going to take you up out of here. So be careful, be responsible. If you're going to vape, make sure you vaping responsible, that you're vaping with the vape pen that you bought, that you know what's in it. Because like I said, I don't approve of any of it, but it's not for me to say. It's the only thing for me to say is try to give y'all some of the information that I have heard. And I have heard that these vape pens are coming in different flavors to entice our children. So I feel as though they need to be put out there. Anytime you hear things, it's almost like, say you see something, say something. You hear something, say something. And from my understanding, we got these vapor pens, these e-cigarettes, heat vape juice, which includes, nicotine flavorings, and other substances. The flavoring of vaping juice ranges from fruity to sweet to savory. This is what it's saying. This is what I read on the internet. And it says that they come in strawberry, blueberry, watermelon, vanilla, caramel, and chocolate. And now we're adding the candy list. We're adding the candy list so it'll be more flavorful. So with that being said, those things taste good to our children. Those things will make our children gravitate more to e-cigarettes, and it cause them to be vaping a lot more because of the fact that the flavor is good. So to make them vape a lot more and vape a lot longer, and it cause them to be addicted to this very thing. So with that being said, I just want to let y'all know that I love you, and I want you to be informed, and I want you to be able to speak to your children about vaping. Let them know what vaping is. Let them know the dangers of vaping. Let them know exactly what it is that they can do other than vaping when they're nervous, when they're upset, or when they need to talk to somebody, or when they just feeling anxious because of the things that are going on. Spend some time with your children. Get to know your children. Pray with your children. Talk with your children. And let them be free within their spirit to be able to come to you, and make a safe place. Make sure you have provided a safe place for them to be able to come and speak to you about the things that are bothering them, so that they won't get so caught up in this world of vaping, so that they can calm their nerves. So with that being said, I want to let y'all know that I love you. And if you stayed this long, please consider subscribing to the channel. I pray that I've given you some good information that you will be able to move accordingly. And if and so that you have not turned on your notification bell, please do so that you can be notified the next time I drop the next video. Be blessed.